Hi everybody. Well, first let me start this video off because because of what I'm about to talk here is disgusting. Okay, and I'm holding a light bulb. Okay, and an ink pen. I'll get to what I'm doing with an ink pen and a light bulb here in a minute. But I first wanted to make a disclaimer right here at the beginning, right off the top, so this way nobody can, like I did with my medical video when my hand swelled up in January. I'm doing this just because I don't want somebody to say they weren't warned, okay? I'm about to talk about something that didn't happen. Well, it did, but it didn't. I mean, I was there for it, sort of. But, I'll explain later. But I want to talk about something that's rather graphic in nature. And, I don't want somebody being grossed out. So if you're grossed out or easily offended by what I'm about to discuss, don't say you weren't warned. If you're that kind of person that gets sick easy, like I said in that medical video, go ahead and just stop watching this video now, and you'll do yourself a favor. So, okay, with that said, as I mentioned in the last video, I sat on a child molestation case several years ago. Of course, the case has since ended, and we came up with a verdict. And this is a matter of, public court record. So it's not like I'm slandering somebody or, doing libel. I actually sat on this case, okay? And I can actually talk about it. Well, I got called up, as I mentioned, for jury duty several years ago, and this was before I got married. Oh, it was the worst experience one of the worst things I've ever had to deal with in my life. It was just nasty. Nasty. That's part of the reason why I put a disclaimer out at the beginning of this video, because when I elaborate, you're going to go, ew. Okay? So, just, as a second warning, don't say you weren't warned. Well, what happened is, on this child molestation case that I was on the jury of, as a jury foreperson, what happened is the defendant was the victim's grandfather. And the victim was a girl. So, Grandpa, what ends up happening is, Grandpa molested granddaughter for years and years between here in Campbell County and next door in Pendleton County for years and years and years. And this went on from the time she was, I'd say, probably 10 to approximately till about the time she was 15 or 16. And she'd been trying to get help, this little girl, according to what happened. And, she'd been telling her parents, look, Grandpa's doing this to me. Please make him stop. They didn't believe her. Finally, and she'd been telling people, and they finally, I forget what adult, caught Grandpa messing with this grandkid. And, he ended up running away to somewhere down in southern Kentucky and hiding out for years. And this girl, the victim's own sister, ended up helping him run off packed him a suitcase full of clothes and a case of beer. Hello, that's aiding and abetting a wanted felon. I'm surprised they weren't trying her for that. But yeah, what ends up happening is, and this is the part that's disgusting. Okay, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I was holding this light bulb. Okay. There's a reason why I was holding a light bulb and why I'm holding it here. And I'll get to that in a second. The guy, and I'm going to do this first, set the light bulb down. Okay, this is an ink pen. Okay. You know how they make light bulbs that are like skinny like this? And not like this? Okay, and they're like the skinny kind, like this pen that go long ways? With like the part like this part, the bottom part that you, plug in to like you would screw it into the lamp, this metal part. Well, if you take one of the light bulbs that you have, like the thing here and the thing here, that are like this, the grandpa, the defendant, was sodomizing his granddaughter with one of the long light bulbs, that are like, that go long ways like this. I was like, oh God, that's nasty. I mean, he just, I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was just the worst thing. And then Then, and this is the funny part, and I remember this part, they ended up, some Southern County police officer, God bless whoever that was, ended up catching this guy for speeding. And they had a warrant out for this defendant's arrest for up here to bring him up here to stand trial for this case I ended up sitting on. Well, what ends up happening is, okay, this defendant gets caught down there in wherever he was in southern Kentucky. And of course, you know how warrants are. It's like they, take your, like, or when you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, the police officer will pull you over and check to see if you have any, warrants out for your arrest. Well, sure enough, Mr. I molested my granddaughter did for up here, and they, just arrested his butt, and that's all she wrote. Well, the jury, oh God, and I can actually, talk about this. We convicted the guy, just so you know. The 12 of us convicted him. And like I said, I was the foreperson. I had to keep these people under control, because I was on this jury with a lady that was probably old enough to be my mom, another lady that was old enough to be my grandmother, a man that was old enough to be like an older brother to me, and then, a couple of younger people to me, like, just graduated high school and turned 18 and stuff. Well, I know that the guy that was old enough to be my brother in age approximately was ready to beat the lady that was old enough to be my grandmother, because she was like, oh, let's go easy on him. And the guy that was, like old enough to be my brother was like, no, we're going to throw the book at him. And I'm like, okay, guys, time out. Time out. Back it up. I was like, look, we got to be objective about this. Okay. We went through all the evidence and everything. And I said, okay, let's look at the facts. Let's not go on emotions, okay? I was like, because emotions aren't going to help us here, but facts are. Okay, now, they showed, the prosecution did show that, yes, this happened. That's pretty bad. But, like I said, we ended up convicting him, and I think, if I'm remembering right, he ended up going to prison. I think we gave him, with what the law stated here in Kentucky, that he ended up, counting the time already served, and he'd been in prison for, I think, he'd been incarcerated waiting trial for, I think, 3 months, maybe, it hadn't been 6 months, but it was, including that. Well, we ended up throwing the book at him for, I'd say, 5 to 6 years for a couple of counts of molestation. Well, my personal favorite is the judge. When we had found a verdict, we came back out, and he said we were getting tired, because I remember the day we convicted the guy. We came out, and I just felt like somebody had rung me backwards through a ringer. And he goes, "You guys need extra time?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Why?" I signed the paper. I remember saying that to him. You would have thought I had called him either ugly or told him I'd seen Jesus. That we'd smoked enough pot in there to, see Jesus. I'm kidding about the pot smoking. But, I was like, I signed the paper, dude. But, Your Honor, I signed the paper. And seriously, he's like, really? And I'm like thinking, what the fuck did I just tell you? Excuse my French. I was like, what did I just tell you? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I just gave him this look of, and I think he could tell. I'm like, please, like, seriously, I'm tired. I just want to go home. And he put us back in the jury room, brought people in and said, okay, let me bring people in and we'll, read the verdict. Well, anyway, found him guilty. He went to jail for 5 years. But, I hope to God I never get stuck on jury again. Seriously, because, like I said, that was a horrible experience. But anyway, I've too much on this video. So, I hope you guys have a good evening, and talk to you later. Bye.